I'm taking this video a day before the show. And as you can see, there's people raising their families here. There's people that have lived in these buildings for a few decades. And here's the thing. The grounds are very well kept, and yet this is a socialist housing cooperative. This is a product of the Mitchell Llama program. They have cooperatives like this throughout New York City. And what happens is there's no landlord. The people collectively own the housing cooperative. Across the street are buildings built by Fred Trump. And what happens is that those buildings were privatized. There was an option for the cooperators to vote to privatize the buildings into, I suppose, condos. Now what happens is that the rent there is twice or three times the rent here, which is called maintenance here. And there is a landlord. Some of these buildings are managed by a company. I lived here in these buildings. They're pretty much the same, obviously, as these. The park may not be as good or whatever, but the apartments now, the market has raised the rates a lot more. So you could see the people vote with their feet, and there's a line around the block to get into these. There isn't anymore a line around the block to get into those. There's definitely vacancies over there. Finally, another form of social ownership is this credit union that was downstairs where I grew up. And so you see here, Consumers Federal Credit Union, just one of many throughout the country, where again, there is no shareholder class. No one extracts rents from the two sides of the marketplace, in this case being the lenders and the borrowers. Instead, the lenders and borrowers own the organization together, just like the housing cooperative. They decide what the policies would be, what the interest rates would be, and ultimately they lend to each other. So these are examples of socialism, as this textbook definition would imply, the collective ownership of the means of production. You could replace the word means of production with collective ownership of the organization. In other words, each person kind of has one share, one vote, as opposed to these, where the landlord has all the shares and all the votes.